Now, I want to look at Genesis because in Genesis, you have the very first family. And I think so many times what we deal with is still something that started back then. When sin was introduced to the family, to the world, and all the problems, all the issues, all the things, it's almost like those inherited things that gets passed down from generation. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. We've got some things that got passed down from Adam and Eve. And we're going to look at this. In Genesis chapter 3, in verse 1, it says, the serpent was the shrewdest of all the wild animals the Lord God made. One day he asked the woman, "Did God really say to you that you must not eat the fruit of any of the trees in the garden?" She said, Of course we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden. The woman replied, "It's only the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden that we're not allowed to eat. God said, you must not eat it or even touch it. If you do, you will die." Now let me just stop right there. And God didn't say you can't touch it. Yeah. If you go back, and I just want to put that up there a little bit, because he told Adam, you can't eat of this tree. Now, when it's transferred, what Adam does, you'll see a lot of times with religion, I just want to point this out, he takes a command of God and he adds to it. Yeah. So he tells Eve, he said, look, you can't eat it, you can't touch it. And I think we're so bad as a church a lot of times that we want to add to, make it a little bit harder, make these things a little bit more difficult instead of just following the command that God gave us in the first place. So Eve's vulnerable right here because she's been added to some stuff that wasn't even from God. And she replies back, no, we can't eat it. We can't even touch it. Her kids probably, if sin hadn't come in yet, they probably would have said, we can't even look at it. Because we want to add to. And here's what the serpent said back. Where am I at? You won't die. There we go. You won't die, the serpent replied to the woman. God knows that your eyes will be open as soon as you eat it. You'll be like God, knowing both good and evil. The woman was convinced. She saw that the tree was beautiful and its fruit looked delicious. And she wanted the wisdom it would give her. So she took some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband. And I just want to underline that because Eve gets a lot of bad rap. But look, where was Adam? He was with her. Who was with her? And he ate too. And think about this. I want to preach to you on family issues this morning, but think about this. What in this little bit of passage, these just 6 verses that I read, think in this little bit of moment, sin entered every family in the world in just a little bit, in just a little time frame. Now I know it was only one family, but it was every family. And it was passed down from this point on. We're born into sin because of this. Sin entered the world at just this one moment in history. And what came with the sin, you'll see, is brokenness, broken relationships. In fact, it's not just a broken relationship with God, it's a broken relationship with each other. From this point on, you'll see just a mess. You'll see them having kids that are killing each other. A broken relationship, it got passed down. Even though the sons of theirs were clashing with each other. Broken relationships came with sin entering the world in just a short time period. And what I want to look at is there's three major characteristics of sin that you see here, and you see it with everyone. And they're these spiritual tendencies that's been just passed down, I believe, evidently from Adam and Eve, from the very first family, these spiritual tendencies that we all deal with. And if you allow it to consume you, it will cause broken relationships in your family and in your life. It will cause broken relationships with God and with others. Are you with me this morning? Let's read on a little bit. Let me show you the first thing that happens. It says in verse 7, at that moment their eyes were open, and they suddenly felt shame at their nakedness. Now I want you to catch that. Because the first thing you see that follows sin is shame. They had never felt shame before until this moment. And they suddenly felt shame at their nakedness, so they sewed fig leaves together to cover themselves. When the cool evening breezes were blowing, the man and his wife heard the Lord God walking about in the garden, so they hid from the Lord God among the trees. And the Lord God called to the man, "Where are you?" He replied, "I heard you walking in the garden, so I hid. I was afraid because I was naked." Now think of that shame, how that must have felt, because they had never experienced shame before until sin came. They had never experienced, their circumstances didn't change, just all of a sudden shame hit. I mean, before this, you would read that they were naked and unashamed. And now, at this point, now they're still naked, but now there's a shame that comes upon them, all because of sin. And if you watch what happens, the very first thing that they do is, because of this shame, they go kind of hiding from each other. They put on the fig leaves clothes. I don't know how good that would have looked, but they did their best. And I mean, they'd never seen clothes before, so let's try this. Let's And they're covering up each other, and then there's even this hiding from God, because immediately after sin hits, they cover themselves because of the shame. It's our natural instinct. We try and cover up something, isn't it? As soon as we mess up, it's our natural instinct to try and cover it up. And you watch a kid, a kid who does something wrong, what do? You don't have to teach a kid to lie about it. They're just born with this instinct. Like, hey, if what I did is going to get me in trouble, if I can lie and cover it up, I'll get out of it. There's this just natural thing, because shame always brings a covering that we try and get out of it, that we try and hide from it, that we try and just cover up what we did because of the shame that we feel. I'm sure you've got examples in your own family of this. They mess up, let's cover it up. We mess up, let's cover it up. I could talk about my kids. They're not here, so I probably should. But who do I want to pick on? There's so many instances. I remember one time, one of our kids, who I won't name, because he used to be here in our church, and Y'all would know him, so I don't want to name him. And he did something so small. He had a habit of putting his T-shirt in his mouth and chewing on it, just holding it up, and just a nervous thing. And we were gone. Me and Brandy, we were on a date. We called my mother-in-law, and she was over watching them. And it was like, we've got to get away from the kids. Need you to watch them. And he chewed a hole in his shirt. Now, which isn't that big of a deal. I mean, we were youth pastors at the time, but we had enough money we could buy another shirt. And his instinct, though, was to cover it up. And he's probably about like 6, 7 at the time. You know what to date is today? It's 6, 7. And yeah, hey. And he comes out and he asks his grandmother, because this is back in the day where, a computer was only good for a couple of things. It was good to play solitary and pull up paint to draw on. And he said, can you pull up this paint app? And he gets a color, a dot, and he draws it on this just the same color he thought that matched his shirt. And then he said, now can you print this, Grandma? Not telling her what he had done, and chewing the hole in his shirt. Can you print this? And she prints off, and then can I get some tape? And he's taping, he's cutting and all this, and he puts it on here, and he's like, oh no, it's still white on the other side. That's not right. And then, I mean, what he was doing was just a natural instinct of, I've messed up, and I don't want to feel the shame of something I shouldn't have done at the moment. So what will I do? What's my instinct is to cover up. Which always makes it worse. It always makes it worse, and that's our instinct because of the same thing that was passed down from Adam and Eve. You see, when sin hits, it always brings a shame upon us, upon our lives, and our instinct is to try and cover it up. The problem is we never cover it up well. We're walking around with fig leaves in a cool breeze, and things are just blowing. Like, if you know anything about fig leaves, if you know anything about leaves, when the wind blows, you're uncovered again. They're trying their best to cover up, and then the breeze is coming through. They're not even doing a good job of it. They're just hiding this whole time. That's exactly what we're like. But here's the great thing about God. Listen, he tells the church, just if I can just kind of explain to you the spiritual aspect of it in Revelations, and he's talking to the church in Laodicea, and in Revelation chapter 3 verse 18, he tells them, he said, I advise you to buy gold from me, gold that has been purified by fire, then you'll be rich. And then watch this, also buy white garments from me so that you will not be shamed by your nakedness. Now, this isn't just something, he's not saying physically buy white garments from me. No, he's talking about just spiritually. There's a shame within your nakedness. There's a shame within your sin. And the only solution of that shame is to be clothed by the righteousness of God. I can't do this on my own. I look like an idiot if I try. Every time I cover up, every time it's just foolish covering up. I'm just covering up one thing and another thing and another thing and making it worse and worse and worse and worse. Why? Because I'm trying to deal with this shame, and the only solution of the shame is the righteousness of God, the garment of God. This is what Isaiah 61 verse 10 said, I am overwhelmed with joy in the Lord my God, for he has dressed me with the clothing of salvation and draped me in a robe of righteousness. I struggled with this as a preacher's kid. I struggled with this shame in my life. Because my instinct was to cover up. When I say I was raised in church, I was raised in church. I mean, my dad was a preacher, a pastor, evangelist at the beginning, and you can't get any more church than if your dad's an evangelist. I mean, my first, till I was 5, I didn't realize, I thought Saturday was travel day and every other day was church day. That was it. Because when I was a kid growing up, I mean, these little revivals of we've got an evangelist coming in, he's going to speak to us tonight. No, he's going to speak to us for at least a week. Unless the Lord calls us to go farther, and sometimes he called. And that went longer. So I was raised in church. That's all I knew. I mean, that's all I knew. If we played house, we played church. That's all I knew. If we went swimming, we were baptizing each other because that's all I knew. And you think I'm joking. I'm really not. That's just... And I asked Jesus, I remember it so distinctly, I asked him to come be Lord of my life when I was 5. My sister, I remember the moment, had such an impact on me. I asked him to be Lord of my life, but then I hit some teenage years and I did things that I was ashamed of. But I was still in church. And I'm covering it up. Don't tell anybody. Hiding things. And this idea of this shame just overwhelmed me. In church, there was an altar call. I was down there every time. Didn't matter for what. If you need problems, if you're dealing with financial difficulties, come on down. I'll be bawling coming down. Like, yeah, that's me. If you're struggling with your marriage, I'll do it. Yeah, whatever. Just get me down again because the shame was overwhelming me. But what I didn't learn at the moment was I was still trying to cover up. I never allowed him to cover me. So the shame would hit me, and I would come down and I'd feel bad about it. But I wouldn't change my life at the time. I wouldn't come under his covering. It was just, God, I feel bad about this shame. It's killing me, and I don't want to feel this shame anymore, but I still want to do what I want to do. I still want to do it my way. I think I can cover it up a little bit more. I can get by. And not realizing that I wasn't willing to allow him to cover me. When I allowed him to cover me, all of a sudden the shame went away and there was a liberty and a peace that I never experienced before. But the sin always brings the shame. And then let me move on. I've got to move on because there's some other characteristics we've got to get to. Let me show you the next thing, what shame next brings, and this is especially in family. Look at verse 11. It says, God speaking now, he said, who told you that you were naked? Well, God, we just looked. Nothing on. He said, have you you eaten from the tree whose fruit I commanded you not to eat? The man replied, watch this. It was the woman you gave me who gave me the fruit, and I ate. And the Lord asked the woman, what have you done? And she said, the devil made me do it. Pretty much. I mean, she said, the serpent deceived me. That's why I ate it. Notice the separation that takes place in just this moment because of the shame. I mean, immediately after sin hits and shame hits, they're separated from God and they're separated from each other. And Adam does something, I call it this way, after shame, there's this blame game. I mean, Adam in one verse, he blames two people for his problems. He blames the woman, and not just the woman, it was the woman, God, you gave her to me. So you're partly at fault too, God. You did it. Y'all messed up my life. Here I was living fine. God, I wasn't eating that tree. I wasn't even touching it. I knew she probably would, so I had to touch. I should have said, look, but God, it was her fault. And by the way, it was your fault. You allowed it to happen. Uh-oh. Oh man, we still do that, don't we? God, why'd you allow this to happen to me? Like he's to blame. You messed up, and God, it's your fault. You could have stopped me. You could have stopped the situation. You could have kept it all. You could have come down and just blocked it, but you didn't. And God, now I'm dealing with the consequences, and it's all your fault and her fault. We do this. We blame each other when we mess up, and it kills and it destroys relationships. It destroys marriages. It destroys relationships between kids. I mean, it is just an awful thing. The blaming of one another for mistakes is the most horrible thing in relationships. And I know that you know this. If you have kids, you know that this goes on. You can walk in a room and it's nobody's fault except the other ones. I mean, they're quick on it, right? I mean, your kid gets a bad grade. Whose fault is it? Well, the teacher, she doesn't like me. Right? I mean, it just comes out. It's natural. It's so fluid. It's easy to just blame somebody else. Like, see a fight starting and you ask, did you hit your brother? He started it. How'd he start it? Well, he looked at me and I didn't like the look. He started it. We blame. This blaming, it's never our fault, though. It's never our fault. It's always someone else's fault of what we're going through. It's always somebody else's fault. And I'm ashamed to admit it still happens to me today. If I don't know where my keys are, it's never my fault. I will quickly ask, honey, where'd you put them? Like I've never had your keys. Oh, don't start that with me. I know you had them. I told you not to know them. The blame. Here's the problem with the blaming. Think about this. Where does all blame come from? It comes from the accuser of the brethren himself, Satan. That is exactly what he's doing right now, is he's up and he's accusing you of your mistakes. He's accusing, he is the accuser of the brethren. So he's going around and he's whispering in the ears, you know what he did? And every time that we blame somebody else, we are speaking what Satan is speaking. I didn't expect amens right then. But I didn't expect you to give me a dirty look either. Every time we blame somebody else, we are actually speaking the voice of Satan, who's the accuser. You know, God doesn't go around blaming you. God goes around trying to help you, to cover up. He never says you're such a failure. Why'd you do that? This is the worst. You'll never make it through. This is awful. God doesn't do that. God is always there to help. And after the blame, I've got to speed this up. Or you are going to blame me for y'all being hungry. I'll skip a few. How about that? We go to verse 14. Verse 14 through 19, you have the curses coming down for what Adam and Eve did. The curses that are happening. And then you get to verse 20, and I want to read verse 20 because it's right after the curses, and this is so subtle what takes place. Verse 20, it says this, "Then the man, Adam, named his wife Eve, because she would be the mother of all who live." And this seems so subtle, but I want to point something out to you, because this is what happens. After the shame of our sin turns into the blame of one another, you have this, if you will, almost this competition now striving with one another. Now I say this because if you look at the context, it's after the curses coming down, and then Adam names Eve. He names her, even it sounds so subtle, it sounds like no big deal, but what he's actually doing is he is separating from his wife. Adam names her Eve as a way of saying we're different. Here's how I know this. God didn't name Adam Eve. He named them both. I don't know if you know that in Scripture. He named them both. It's Adam that named her Eve as a separation. Look at Genesis 5, and it's verse 2. And I wanted to, just so you don't think, he's using some off-the-wall translation. No, we went King James Version, so I mean, it's holy. The most holy. And this is what it says. It says, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name, both, Adam, in the day when they were created. So when God created them, he creates Adam, and he says, oh man, it's good, except for it's not good that he be alone. We've got to do something about this. We're going to create somebody else for him, a helpmate. And he creates Eve, and he says, that's good. Hey, I want to make sure I name you guys. You're Adam, male. You're Adam, female. Here's what he's saying. You're one. I've created you to be one. To me, you're Adam. Sin comes in, and Adam says, hey, no, I'm Adam, you're Eve. We're separate. God might have said we're one, but I'm telling you, we're two. We're separate. Not only that, but I'm going to label you with this. You are the mother of all living things. In other words, what he's saying at that moment, Adam is saying, your only purpose is to give me children. You're separate. I've got my job. I'll work. I'll do my thing. You stay home. You give me children. We're separate. We're not one anymore. We're separated. Not physically, but we're separated spiritually. You're Eve. I'm Adam. God might have called us both, but you're Eve. I'm Adam. Oh, that's harsh, isn't it? But what I'm saying though is that we do this, and for ladies, listen, I want you, worship team, come back up. Oh my goodness, why do they put a clock up there? I'm not supposed to look at that. Get up here quick. I don't even know where I'm at. That clock just distracted me. You just got to blame it. You got to blame it on something. I can't blame it on myself. It's the clock that did that. Now, I really don't know where that was. Let me get back. Ladies, listen. I think this labelism that Adam did has been a bondage on women for so long. Because we've got this idea that your only purpose now is to be a mom. And listen, that's a high calling. That is a high calling. But that is not your only calling. And God did not label you that way. Man put that on. Adam put that on. That is not how God did not label you as the mother of all living things. Here's what he labeled you as the daughter of a king. That is your purpose. That is your high calling. And don't let what man has placed on you trying to find something that you're not. This battle, this separation, let me show you where it even goes a little bit deeper in this. You'll see it in God saying, look, because the sin, because the shame, because this blaming, because of all these things and this separation that's going to happen because sin came in, and if you don't get control of it, it's going to destroy your relationships. He said, here's what will happen, and I want to show you this in Genesis 3, verse 16. This is when God's given the curse over Eve at the time. He says, to the woman, he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. And all the woman said, thanks, Eve. Watch this. He said, your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. It sounds so good. Your desire shall be for your husband. But he's going to rule over you. And here again, we've taken this out of context and thought, well, man, it's our job as the man of the house. I'm to rule the home. I'm going to rule it. I get to rule over. It's what God said. I'm going to rule over. No, he said it in a curse. Why would we take a curse and say that's how it's supposed to be? When he's laying the curse down, listen, because guys, listen, you're never supposed to rule over. You are supposed to servant lead. There's a huge difference. You are never supposed to rule over. You are supposed to lead like Christ leads. What did Christ do? He laid down his life for the church. That's our example of how we lead. That is not ruling over. That is compassionate leading. But this phrase says your desire will be for your husband. And this word, this desire, it's deeper than what we think. When you look at it, I would try and pronounce the Hebrew word, but I can't pronounce the English words. But the Hebrew word here, it means this. It means a desire to control. That's why another translation, let me read the same verse now in New Living Translation, because it says this. He said, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth, and you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. Here's what God's saying. Look, because of sin that came in, and because of the shame and the trying to cover it up and the blaming that goes on after, I'm going to tell you the results. What will end up happening is there's going to be this competition, this battle, not working together in oneness in marriage. No longer bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, like Adam was saying when Eve was created, but instead, no, we're separate. And you're going to try and control him. You're going to try and manipulate him. You're going to try and do whatever to try and make sure that you've got the upper hand, and he's going to turn, go the other way. And there's going to be this battle of I'm in control. No, I'm the one that's in charge. I'm the one that's going to rule. No, I'm going to control. God's saying, look, because of sin, this is what you'll have to deal with. Or, and here's the answer, and I want you to stand with me. Here's the answer. You can allow Jesus to be the head, and you can fall back under what God designed for a marriage and for a family. And God, I'm not going to try and cover up my shame anymore. You're the only one who can cover up my shame. God, I'm not gonna listen to Satan anymore, blaming and accusing, and it's your fault, and this is why we're going. No, I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm gonna fall back under. I'm gonna listen to your voice. Your voice is gonna be stronger, and there's no longer gonna be this competition between us. God, we are again one because you created us and you bonded us together, and there's not gonna be a battle of who's in charge. We're one. We're in this together, and we're in this forever. And the answer to this, the answer to the issues that we're dealing with, the answer to it all is Jesus. Jesus. Jesus is the way. Jesus is the one. It said this in Acts about Jesus. He said, you are the children of those prophets, and you are included in the covenant God promised to your ancestors. For God said to Abraham, through your descendants, who's he talking about? Jesus here. Through your descendants, all the families of the earth will be blessed. He came not just for your salvation, he came for your family. So that you're blessed and you can be made whole, and he can make the repairs in your home.